This is the BBC. Hello, and welcome along to your regular Tuesday night 7 o'clock show here from Gers TV Studios. Alongside me, I've got Colin, aka Barley Bear.
That's right. Well, thank you for having me back, lads.
It's okay, you're back by popular demand.
I wish that was true. It's been a disappointing week for us, but
we'll get to that. My name's Gordon, and in the controls on the computer and producing tonight, we've got Simon, who'll respond to your comments and let us know anything that comes in that we want to discuss. So, where to start, Colin? This week it's been a bit of a tough few days yet again for Rangers supporters. The disappointment on Thursday night last week, the spirit in European law, despite a decent last 20 minutes showing. We're fighting for our lives in the Europa League, and we got Derek McInnes' first home game under his belt at Ibrox on Sunday, and it panned out far from what we're expecting, wanting, or indeed hoping for. So, we'll discuss it in more detail in a wee minute. But first of all, Colin, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Well, before we get into that, I just thought we'd close off some of the things from the last telecast. I went to Ibrox to watch the European game, met Broxy Bear, and he was very pleased with the support we gave him after the controversy with the SFA for that game with some other club from the south end of Glasgow.
Did he have to leave early because he had his tag?
Well, there's a lot of no comments too.
Okay.
Right, he could comment, but he did like the support that we gave him at the end of the broadcast last week. And also on Sunday, when I was at the match against Hibs at halftime, I met Ryan, who was our caller for that. And that good company. I just wrap those things up for his turn.
I'll do any more, Colin. Give us your thoughts on your overall. We'll discuss it in detail shortly, but just your overall thoughts on the game.
Just dreadful, mate. The refereeing, that penalty, I don't understand some of the tactics that we're using. My biggest one is we've got wingers. We're trying to get wingers, but we just want them to cross from the top of the 18, as we were saying just before we went live. Our chances came when the wingers went down to the touchline and crossed it back. I'm old enough to remember when we had other wingers who could do it. I know that people think the game's moved on and all this stuff, new strategies, but it's still a simple game. Just get the ball to the touchline, cross it back, give it to the strikers. Hopefully they're taller than the defenders, and it's in the back of the net.
Simple but effective. Simple. But when you finish,
is my accent throwing you off again?
No, it's just the brutal effectiveness of what you're saying throws me off, because sometimes in football that's all it takes. So let's concentrate on the game in more detail then. So the starting lineup, McInnes went with Dragana-Jevic, gave him his debut. His full debut did come on as a sub for Thursday night for the last kind of 15 minutes or so. But he gave him his full debut, but he played him at right back. What do you make of that decision?
You don't know. You don't know what's going on in who's fit, who's not fit, who's got a wee injury. So if Derek's thinking that's the best that we can go, then that's it. One of the things for me is like more Demander. What's he up to?
We'll get to that. I'm going to go through the team in the
all right
as we go. So, do you think he was effective at right back?
I think he was as effective as our defense was made. Let's just leave it there.
Okay. Fair enough. So we'll go through the rest of the team. Just a reminder to everyone that you can call in the Gers TV at any point. So I believe that Simon may have the contact information at his fingertips on the controls. So remember, you can actually go on our website, www.gerstv.co.uk, and you can book your slot. Someone has done it tonight already, which is great. So if you want to book in, it's ideally give us some warnings for 15 minutes before the show starts, but you can go on to www.gerstv.co.uk and book a call into the studio to discuss the previous game and anything we are talking about. So moving on then, going to just cover the defence. So we gave a new signing to Mcanio from South Africa. What did you make of his performance?
I thought, again, it was as good as how do I put this? There wasn't anything special in it for me, right? I still think we need somebody. We haven't replaced Bassi in the sense that we haven't got a tank. I was hoping Sterling or somebody else would be able to step up into that kind of position.
Okay. I'll go one further and say we haven't really replaced someone like Balogun as well either. But what I wanted to discuss with you in more detail now, Colin, and then we'll invite some comments on this as well, is Emmanuel Fernandez. He seems to get a game.
He gets a free pass.
He gets a start. He genuinely seems like a free pass. Now, I think there's a decent player in there. He's obviously young and still on in his game. However, there was times last season when he didn't look comfortable. There was times last season when he didn't look great. And for me personally, and I'll get your opinion in a second, his start to the season has been incomprehensible. It's been shaky. It's been anxious. It's been really bad. And I just don't know why he seems to start every game. Got any ideas on thoughts on that, Colin?
Well, that's also one of the common threads with some of the Asian Rangers supporters clubs. After the game on Hibs, and I left Irebrooks, I had over 150 messages from either Bangkok, Singapore, and some of the other clubs there. And he was mentioned as well. And again, I do agree with you. But do we have anybody who's just as strong or better right now? We were talking about like when Souness was in charge. If you didn't measure up, that was it. You're off.
Yeah.
And again, for him, if we sit him on the bench for a game or two, is he going to wisen up? Is he getting too nervous? You just don't know.
Do you think his head might have been turned by the rumours over the summer about big money moves away?
I think that could play a part of it. I also think, again, we don't know how Derek's doing this, but are they being coached on what they're all supposed to be doing? Are we still trying to be Russell Martin's team playing from the back? Or are we going to say, okay, let's get the ball forward as fast as possible? And if it was supposed to be that on Hibs, fast as possible is still very slow.
What does it say about the team selection when John Souttar is nowhere to be seen in the squad, and Emmanuel Fernandez seems to have can basically just perform however he likes, and someone like John Souttar's nowhere near the first team?
Well, it's also
what do you make of that?
Look, I know we're starting at the back, but Shanklin, we made him captain before the season, and he didn't even start. That's another. You just want to question that as well. Rangers have a history of playing players out of position or trying something new.
Well, so you're going to pause here. We have got a caller coming in, so we'll. Yeah. So we're going to have a caller. So just finish your thought there, Colin.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Rangers have got a history of signing players for positions and then no playing them in that position. And, we've now got a captain who doesn't seem to start.
Just going back to Fernandez as well at the back. What does it say about the young players, kind of under 21s, under 19s, that are watching the first team and they're watching, somebody like Fernandez not have great games, but again, they can't break into the first team either.
That's going to be so frustrating for them. And you question yourself, why do we have the football academy? I know we've got to have it because of the rules with international football and UEFA and stuff, but you're absolutely right. The players there must be going, what what do we have to do to get on? And we're talking about, later in the show, we're going to be talking about signing some new players. And is that going to be the answer? Is it always going to be, let's get rid of him because he's no up to it? He's not good enough. The badge is too big. Or are we going to say, okay, there's got to be a better coaching method for him? There's got to be something else that we can do to get him a better player or a more suited player? Because if we are playing these different systems, are we not getting players who can play that system? Or are we just looking for players and then saying, all right, you go in here, you know? And you're right. Like for him, again, it leads to more frustration.
I think that's a word we're going to be using quite a lot tonight and throughout the week. Certainly frustration. I thought one of our better players, probably in the Europa League as well, and the game against Dundee United and Sunday was Tua Romans.
Yeah,
I think he's been kind of positive signing and a positive player. But unfortunately, he's now injured now for, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks. What do you make of that news?
I think the football gods are very angry at Rangers still. It's just like you're saying, he's one of the better players on getting the start from the season. We're relying more on him, and now he's got injured. And yeah, 6 to 8 weeks minimum is what I'm hearing as well.
Yeah, it's not great. So moving on up the park, then I thought a home debut for the new Japanese signing, Yokoto. I actually thought he played really well. What did you make of his performance?
I was really impressed with him as well. I thought that he showed a lot of confidence, especially for his first time playing at Ibrox. And I'm hoping that he's going to be able to grow on that. And as I said earlier, I just hope that, when he gets a little bit more confidence, he's going to take on more people and run down to the touchline and cross it or bring it into the box a wee bit more, because that's, how we can get some more goals. We need some more speed as well on the movement of the ball from the back up forward.
Colin, can you read any of these comments? So you're glad you've got the glasses on tonight. Can you read, Alex? So, comment from Alex Kelly.
Alex Kelly, in American sports, the general manager is the main man on the recruitment of players. They treat the coach with contempt. McGuinness is not a yes man. He's a manager. Things look a mess on the park.
Okay, so a couple of things to dissect there. Colin, you have got a kind of North American background, I believe, well, everywhere in the world, actually. So what do you give your response to that?
Well, I think that's right. I think that one of the things in North American sports is they try to share the glory with everybody. The one thing that always got me about North American sports is the owners go onto the pitch if a team wins the World Series or the Super Bowl, as if they've contributed something rather than just more financial.
I want to read Alex's next comment, if you can, please.
Our guys at Rangers Radio done a bit of research. In the last 5 years, we've had a turnover over 100 players, 7 managers, and squandered over 200 million in transfer fees and wages.
Alex, that's great figures and that's great research that's been done. So we're done on that. And it's quite scary when you see it in black and white like that, isn't it? When you see the numbers and you think, I mean, we spent all that money, we've had that turnover of players, and are we any further forward than we were at the start of this process? So 2 years ago, we were obviously found we had, I think, let's just say Clement left. So that's probably the period onwards. Hundreds, 100 players, £200 million spent or whatnot, and we're still. My point is, we've still got the same criticisms. We can't cross the ball. We can't score a goal. We can't defend.
We can't pass the ball. When we're trying to pass the ball, we get smaller instead of wider. And I think Alex is right. If you were to talk to the average Ranger supporter and say, in the last, 7 years or 5 years, we spent over £200 million they wouldn't believe you, right? And we certainly haven't gotten £200 million back
No.
into the club.
And that's the biggest that's one of the biggest things, Alex, for those statistics here for me, is that when you look at the players we've sold over the last couple of years, we never seem to make a profit on any players, maybe one or two. We never get our money back, and most of our signings seem to leave in free transfers.
Yeah.
After a couple of years, which is just a horrible way of doing business. When you look back under Gerrard, yeah, it wasn't as successful as we'd hoped, but at that point we were selling guys like Bassey and Aribo and getting tens of millions of pounds.
Well, Bassey, I think, was a one-off. He was over 20 million. But under Gerrard and all them, the idea was that we were going to develop players and sell them on for a profit. But unless you're starting to win something, nobody's going to be looking at these players to go on.
Yeah.
And also, you look at the caliber of the players that we are signing. We're not signing English Premier League players. We can't compete. Unfortunately, we can't compete. And our players who are leaving, they're not going to the English Premier League as often as they did before. And we've let go of other players too soon, like Lewis Ferguson. Ferguson.
We didn't go for him, so it's a good point to make. We talked about
and Billy
a few times. Yeah, so there's guys like Josh Doig, Lewis Ferguson, etc., and the boy from Motherwell as well. So two players from Motherwell, Lewis Miller, Lennon Miller, a couple of years ago, and then in the summer there, Elliot Waugh and the guy Just as well. So,
and then also we don't seem to time the sales correctly as well. I know we got Butland left this off season, but we probably would have gotten a lot more for Butland when he was, back into the England team.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe 3 years ago. And then we would just have to sign another keeper. But we don't seem to follow our own directives about, okay, this is when we're going to sell a player. We hold on for that one extra season, and then something happens to him.
Do you want to read that?
Chick Sharp, 5786. The problem most are missing is that the owners are going to allow the club to stagnate until they get 95% of the shares, as they did at Leeds United. That will be 5-6 years as it was at Leeds United.
So when you're saying that, Chick, and I get you were coming from with that, but at the end, they have invested a lot of money. Whether we agree with the signings or not, or whether recruitment's to blame or the managers are to blame, they backed Russell Martin, they backed Danny Rule in January, and they've backed Derek McInnes, and they're going to back Derek McInnes even more because they've come out yesterday and said they want another 3 to 5 players. So they're backing the managers. They're not closing up and saying there's no money to spend. They're backing the managers.
They are backing them, and that's good. And hopefully we'll get some more. The 3 or 5 players now, and if Derek's still here at the Hugman A window, we can strengthen it there too. There is one thing that I do want to add about you asking me about living in North America, because the North American sports are so different than football. The San Francisco 49ers, when was the last time they won a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's fair enough to say that they've come here and they want to see Leeds do well and they want to see Rangers do well. But their main business is the San Francisco 49ers. And North American sports seem to go through in these cycles because of the draft and the way that it operates, that the teams are more willing just to stagnate in North America and hold on to the managers after everybody else is fed up. But hopefully that's not going to be the case here with Rangers.
So going back to the point that Alex made about the numbers there, who do you think is in charge of recruitment at Ibrox? Because remember, we brought in Kevin Thelwell's son last season, much to the surprise and chagrin of thousands of Rangers fans, and I think the guy Dan Purdy is still there as well.
We fired his father, and he's still there.
Yeah. So I'll get you to read out this comment in a second, but who do you think is in charge of recruitment?
That's a very good question, because I talked to some ex-Rangers people from the club, and they said that, Derek is the first manager we've actually had for a long time. All the rest were head coaches. So Derek's is supposed to be having a little bit of an input onto it, but again, we don't know how much he's having and who's actually picking these players. What Derek's saying, well, this is what I want.
I don't know if bring that comment back up or not. Just should got any more? Yeah, don't know. Chat's probably arguing with me.
Check guy, backing manager, spending money. The more then loan the club money, the more we're in debt and the value of shares diminish.
Yeah, I mean, there's no perfect solution, but I mean, either well, what's the alternative? I mean, in the last kind of 20 years at Rangers financially, we've been insecure. There's been people come and go. There's been probably a dozen people in charge of Rangers financially, and I would like to think that American owners will bring us some stability. But they're not blameless, and in the kind of carry on in the last 12 to kind of 14 months since the appointment of Russell Martin and where we are now, they're not blameless. Ultimately they're in charge, and ultimately they carry the can.
Well,
And the longer we stay in this situation of rinse and repeat managers and finishing second or God forbid, even third now, the quicker it will turn on them.
do you not think, and what's your opinion on this? I don't think that the Scottish Football Association has recovered since we were put down to the bottom leagues and had to work our way up. I don't think that any of the other Premier League clubs are still drawing the players that they used to. Uh, the SFA can say that, oh, we've just signed the biggest contract for TV rights we've ever done, but it still pales in comparison, not just to down south, but to the Scandinavian countries. And the finances are just not hurting us. We've had so many other clubs go into administration or, folding of ownership. So it's not just affecting us. And you're absolutely right, too. I think that the supporters have to realize that it can't just continue. We can't be going out for how many owners we've had, how many managers we've had, how many different teams we're going to look for. There's no quick solution. I was also thinking, is there going to be a new David Holmes opening up at the director's office coming on and announcing somebody's going to be, Duncan Ferguson's coming back as being the player manager, right? But he's no played for ages, and he might be the next Scotland manager.
Yeah, that'd be a bit of a shock to me. But do you want to read this comment out?
The stability will come after they've got the shares they want. Best way to make the club healthy is to increase capacity, but again, that won't be done until they've got their full of shares.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Chick, unlike yourself, myself, Colin, Simon, and everyone else out there and everyone else watching, they're not dyed in the wool, die-hard Rangers fans. They've come into ownership of a football club, and
Yeah.
no matter what they say and what they do, ultimately they're here to make money, and I think we have to accept that, or look for new owners, which would be impossible. So we're kind of stuck, and we're kind of stuck in a situation right now where we're kind of damned if we do and damned if we don't.
Well, see here for Rangers, I think there's only two ways the Rangers can make more money. And check, you can respond to this as well, and somebody else can as well. Do phone in, do text us a message. But the two ways the Rangers can make more money because Ibrox is always sold out. So and they can't increase the prices too much anymore. So they've either got to increase the capacity or we've got to have another run in Europe. And that's really about the two ways that Rangers can make money. Because for the last, as you've just said, last few seasons, we can't seem to sell players for a profit. We get the one off for a profit, Bassi, but we're not doing it often enough.
Yeah. So I think about the capacity. Well, we can read Alex's comments first, and I'll go back to the capacity. You want to read Alex's comment?
All right, 5 months. Andrew Kavanagh was advised to bring in Graham Souness as head of football operations and David Weir as head of recruitment. They decided to bring Stig and back Dan Purdy and Thirlwell Jr. Why? Tens of millions continue to be squandered.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think that David Weir has put his reputation at clubs like Brighton, I think it's been absolutely fantastic down there in recruitment, and Brighton are a model for every football club to follow. So he was fantastic down there, and Graham Souness knows Rangers inside out. He could offer advice to Derek McInnes as well, and obviously I think there would be a separation of duties, of course, but I think that would be a fantastic team.
Do you think Souness was serious about coming back? I'd love him to come back, but just the health issues that he had previously, he enjoys, his life right now. He's not on, the sports channels as much as he used to be, but he does seem to be traveling a lot more, talking about Liverpool and Rangers.
Remember, these guys have to make money as well. So, and they love football. So I think there was definitely an interest there. And even if it wasn't a full time, it would be advisory role or whatnot.
When John Gregg was invited back.
Yeah, you probably have David Weir doing if David Weir and Graham Souness were picked and offered the role, you'd have David Weir doing more of the kind of operational work, the day-to-day stuff. You'd have Graham Souness more in charge of, I would say, strategy and direction. And you don't have to be Emirates every day for that.
It'd be more heartless. You are sitting out, you are getting transferred.
Yeah. I think one of the ways we can make money is to increase the capacity. I think it's been mooted for the last 20 or 30 years about increasing the capacity.
Well, this is what Chick's saying. I'd say we need over 65,000 and then still have the ability to increase it more, because the other mob will put up a third tier in their main stand.
Yeah, and over the course of, you've got to think about these things long term. Putting in, 5,000-10,000 extra seats at Ibrox. So yes, it will cost initially up front, but there will be a long term return on investment. You probably use it in your lifestyle, Colin.
Yeah.
What are your various escapades? And we won't mention anything else. You're always looking for a return on investment, aren't you?
That's it.
So it's a long-term thing. But remember, in the modern day, you can, not only can you get 10,000 more seats, but you can add like the executive boxes, hospitality, etc. So it does generate lots. It does generate lots of extra income as well, and it's there for the long term. So yeah, there's obviously an issue upfront cost, but it just brings in so much more revenue. One source of revenue could be transfer sales and player sales. Now, on Sunday, it was reported that Sharmiti had been the subject of a bid for £22 million. Now, it's no one's fault that he's now out for the rest of the season.
Well, again, we go back to the football gods, the most powerful of all of the gods.
Given the fact that, for me, Sharmiti has scored a handful of goals since he came to the club, he looked decent in fits and starts after this troubled start. What do you think the rationale and thinking is behind rejecting that kind of bid for a Rangers, with any player really, but Sharmiti in particular? And wasn't it? You can't obviously look back and you got now look at the injury, say it's a bad decision. But at the time, before the game started, hand on heart, do you think it was a right or wrong call?
I think it was the right call. I'm going to say that because I understand where a lot of Rangers fans are getting frustrated, but he scores in the big games, and we don't have anybody else who's got the confidence or the ability or the drive to score in the big games. For whatever reason, he just can't seem to get himself up to the level to score against the smaller teams. But, that could just be his personality. But we need somebody who's going to score his goals in the big games. That's the problem. And this goes back to what we're saying. If Europe is going to be the answer, then we need the goals in Europe. Or we also need the goals against the South End team or, the team up north, so that we're going to be qualifying for Europe and hopefully winning the league so we get the champions.
You want to read that out, Colin, please?
All right. Jordi 9209. We could actually do it without fully filling in the corners. Easy to put the third tiers on Copeland and Broomlin, and a wee bit harder with the Govan stand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Rangers. I would like to think anyway. To be honest, you can't use that word anymore. Sure, I would like to think, and I would hope that they've had architects in, and they've made plans, and they've sketched it out, and they've maybe done some design work and project work on it already. But for whatever reason, maybe I think I read yesterday, or they said yesterday, it was kind of hard to lower the pitch because of the ground and the soil or whatnot.
Yeah,
Don't know the
and
details of that.
and that's what we've always been doing is lowering the pitch as well and putting in new seats.
Yeah.
And
I'd be handy for the Subway loyal though, because after the game they could just nip to the subway station. it goes deep down.
right,
Aye,
and we'll have to make sure that Andy Gordon doesn't get moved
maybe
in the goal.
Right, maybe that's a good idea for the Subway loyal, just to get another 30 meters down.
And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but we've got the main stand, which is a listed stadium here, so we can't do anything with that, and I don't want to do anything with it because I still think that separates us with a lot of the other clubs. But I think we could do something about not just put it in the corners, but you see some of the new stadiums and how they are just built, and we could do something like that. I also remember a few years ago we have to go to the council and say we want to change the parking lots. It's also like some of the other designs we've tried to do, the council has knocked us back.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that doesn't seem about right.
Yeah, because you remember these clubs, football brings in such, tens of millions of pounds a year in revenue to not just the local area, but you think about everyone that travels from Northern Ireland and abroad and travels from down south. It brings, millions and millions of pounds in revenue. So you would think the council would work with the club.
Yeah.
But I think, Simon, put together a great project last season about the railway line as well. We were thinking about that, and there's so many things that could be done, but there's a hesitance. The council seem to want to work against clubs like Rangers rather than with us, and I think it's symptomatic of the way that the people in charge view football and football fans sometimes.
Yeah, and I also think that Scottish football used to be at the forefront. Glasgow is the first city in the UK to have 3 football stadiums that had over 50,000 seats for everybody, and the National Stadium was the smallest.
Yeah.
Right? And now, you see some of the new stadiums being built down south. They're just getting so big. Now, maybe, we're going to need the council, just as we said, to approve the changes to the parking lots and access to it. Has Colin gone to Specsavers? Come on into Gers TV for an eye test. So, thanks, Alex.
Do you know what? I'm actually too embarrassed to wear my specs on this show, so I've never worn them. I'm Ryan and Colin here to read the comments out. So Colin's done a great job on these comments tonight. So fantastic, yeah. I've actually broke my glasses actually, so I need to go back to Specsavers actually, funnily enough. But Colin, you want to do the honours with another comment from?
Right. Yeah, it's just another one. We don't have to lower the pitch anymore from Chuck. But I just want to get back to what we were saying about, the performances. Yeah. Do you think that Rangers, the coaching is getting to be, are they overcoached, undercoached?
I think there's a malaise that's set in the club in the last couple of years. And what I mean by that is I think we've got a squad that last season it was obvious to me with all these lone players. There was a lot of individuals rather than a team last season. And I think that when I look at Rangers, right, and when I look at other teams and a decision goes against another team, they're right in the referees' faces. They're all backing each other up. They're all look at what happened on Thursday night when it was an obvious free kick to Rangers, and the Polish team literally 6 or 7 of them got together and bullied the referee into awarding the free kick to them. And then we get that penalty that awarded. We'll talk about this in a minute, but the penalty itself. But for me, there wasn't a lot of the whole team has to get together and go right in the referee's face, not in a disrespectful way, but looking for an explanation.
But in an intimidating way.
I've never ever seen in the last 2 or 3 years. So that's one part of it. The second part of it as well, I think that they're coached to be a kind of slow, ponderous passing team. And it's not Scottish football. Whenever we see if you're an opposition coach like Davy Gray on Sunday, you say to your team, let them mess about with it middle of the park.
Yeah.
Let Asgard and Diomande get the ball, because what's going to happen is we're going to have time to set ourselves. We're going to have time to have 2 banks of 4, probably 2 banks of 5 actually. We're going to have time to get our positions.
Yeah.
And then by the time we're settled, they won't have got any further forward. Then they cannot, because there's no space, and then they'll pass it back. Pass it to the side. And I think that's a coaching issue.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think that it's a coaching issue where we're so slow. And again, when we get the ball, we try to do a short pass. People get closer and closer, and then they become hospital balls. We should be opening it up a wee bit more. And again, I don't want to repeat it again, but it would be nice if the wingers would run down the touchline and cross it back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's also a recruitment issue when we're bringing in the same type of players.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to just ask you about, the personality of the players, because they don't seem to have the arrogance that some of the players did in the past.
Yeah.
Right? They knew they were good players. They knew, or they at least believed, that they could compete with everybody else, and they weren't polite about it. Right? I was remembering an interview with De Boer. And they were asking, well, what was it like to play with Brian Laudrup and Gaza and Super Ali? And De Boer's answer was going, it was good. They were at my level. Right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You want somebody who's going to go, this is why I'm at Rangers and you're not at Rangers.
But look at, the players we're buying. We've got a couple of players for the German Bundesliga 2 and 3, a few players for the English Championship.
Do we need a new Jimmy Bell going, you're now playing for Rangers, get all that other stuff out of your head, your head?
But I think over the last couple of seasons there's been an acceptance that we don't have to win every single game. And I thought that would I still believe it to a certain extent, but I was really confident and really hopeful under McInnes. We would, and he said the right things. He said the first game, he said, listen, I don't care how we play as long as we win. And that's what I wanted to hear. But the players don't seem to mirror that on the park.
Well, and we're too cautious.
We're cautious, we're anxious, we're slow, we're ponderous, and there's not a lot of flair. And individually, we've got some creative players, but again, they're not clicking. I've never seen, when Diomande ask our play together, there's no fluency.
Well, Diomande, he's a better player when we're up a goal or 2 goals. Then he seems to relax a little bit more and puts on a wee bit more of a show.
Yeah.
Right?
So, with that in mind then, Colin, moving on then with recruitment, I think we need more players now, but what positions for you, first of all, are an absolute top priority?
Look, I think we need more. We need a striker, especially now with the injuries, and we need somebody. I don't want to call it a stopper. We need somebody strong in the center midfield to get the ball and give the ball to the other players to do something. Sometimes I worry about, are we playing 6 at the back? It's just that we're playing 2 of them in the midfield. Because Asgard, he was taking on the ball. He was having a good times in the games, which is good to see. But last season, I think he was told to be more defensive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, is this the managers or is this the style of play? Right? And we don't have somebody just in the middle of the park who's just going to hit everybody.
I think that this, Cameron Devlin for me has been one of the better signings so far, and he's put himself about a little bit. Is he the answer to everything? No, but I think he's at least shown some character and some heart and desire. And I've liked so far. To be fair to Cameron Devlin, I've liked what I've seen of him. And and look, I don't want to be too negative on Rangers, but it was good to see us. Everyone else is.
Oh, I know. But, it's one of the things that, we lost on the 93rd minute with that goal against Hibs. But for the last 5-10 minutes, we were still trying to attack Hibs and get the goal, right, to win the game. And it just came back to bite us. But I've seen too many other games where we would have just settled for the draw at that point and tried to play it out.
I know you're saying about strikers, but you look individually. We've got 2 strikers at the club that over the last kind of recent seasons, 4 or 5 seasons, in Bojan Miovski and Lauren Shankland, they have individually been the top goal scorers in the SPL.
Yeah. So we got to get them the ball. And this is the other thing. Like
the problem for me is not necessarily it is scoring goals. It's not necessarily the strikers. It's the fact that a lot of the chances we make are not clear cut chances.
Well, here's Alex now. He's saying, go and get Lewis Ferguson. We need him to drive the standards in the middle and add goals too. And he's right. Like, look at who his uncle is and who his father were, right? You know, they controlled the midfield.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be absolutely fantastic to get Lewis Ferguson. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still dubious on that, like financially, if we can afford it, but it'd be fantastic to see. I hope we do. We've missed a trick in signing those boys from Motherwell.
Well, Lewis Ferguson, didn't he come and approach us twice before he went to Italy?
Yeah,
and we knocked him back. And you're going, well, like you asked before, Gordon. Well, who's making the recruitment calls? Who's saying that? Right.
So I think that it's obvious we need a right back.
Well, here's something about, you know, we started off talking about the fullbacks. Do you think the fullbacks are doing the job that people like us think fullbacks should be doing?
Well, I've said it's a good point you've made, because I've said this numerous times on this show and numerous times to my mates and numerous times at the pub. I very rarely see Rangers fullbacks blocking crosses.
Yeah.
They jump out. I know there's rules about handball, but I see them jump out the way more than I see them trying to block the shot. Oh. And that all started with, by the way, that all started with Tavernier, and it's still going.
And it's also, this was under Walter. We like to play with wing backs. We used to have wingers, and then we'd have wing backs, right? You know, I like, you know, this will show some age. Stuart Monroe and some of the other players get the ball and just kick it up to the midfielder or try to get it up to the strikers. You know, let's use some speed.
Yeah, there's not a lot of speed in the Rangers team.
And it goes back to what you said, you know, the other managers can go, okay, Rangers have got the ball. They're going to be slow. We can get everybody back. We can get them into positions. And you're absolutely right, because we do it. Can we drop Fernandez? That's my question. I think he needs dropped.
Yeah. So that's Simon and the producing the show tonight. Well, here's the question when it comes back. Can we afford not to drop him? Because right now, I would say that Fernandez is one of the big reasons about the hesitancy and the anxiousness at the back.
Yeah. Well, and do the other players have faith in each other?
That's a very good question. You know, we've got. It's so sad to see. So go back to the question itself about Fernandez. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got MDLs at the moment that can step up. But you know, what does it say about, you know, somebody like John Suter at the club, and as I said earlier, like the youngsters who are trying to come through it, and they see Fernandez and they see him getting a game, no matter how many mistakes he makes or how he's out of position. And for me, that lowers the standards of the club.
Do you think, like Suter, that Derek's just thinking he's getting too slow now?
But Fernandez isn't tracking back.
Oh.
So, like,
again,
I'm
just putting. Is this a reason why he's
McInnes doesn't rate him, obviously, because there's no one near the first team, and must be a player in there somewhere. Do you want to have a go at Alex's comment now?
Well, no.
We all seen the day he scored 23 goals between them. Dessers so having scored 25 the season before. That's on recruitment.
Yeah. That's one of the decisions that are getting made to sell players and then replace them. And you know, I don't want to be negative, but I've never rated Nderi, and he's not done anything so far this season to show any better. And then, but then Majorski's on the bench every week and can't get a look in.
Well, again, this goes back to their individuality. Do they have the mindset, or are they feeling, all right, I've already made it now that I'm with Rangers and I'm getting, you know, a nice wage packet at the end of every week?
Yeah, going back to Alex's comments, I was one of the people that was never Desker's biggest fan. But I tell you what, I take that. It's so sad now looking back, but I'll take him on a heartbeat.
Well, and this has also been one of the problems with Rangers. We're
too quick to criticise and jump on players' back sometimes.
Aye, exactly. And then we say, okay, bring them back. Like, look at Scotty. you know, we were all pushing, oh, he's getting too old, he's getting too slow. And then he leaves, and we're going, oh, his replacement's rubbish. Bring Scotty back.
I've heard some fans kind of for Tavernier as well.
Yeah. And that's, look, I don't want to go into it, but the way Tavernier left, that was a bad taste in the mouth for Rangers supporters as well.
So would you like almost another defender coming in? Would you?
Magoma's a rumour.
Yeah, so we have been heavily linked with Jaden Magoma. I think he had a difficult start to life at Rangers last season, but after maybe halfway through the season and maybe the last half of the season, he showed some consistency, and by far and away wasn't the worst player. But again, I can't look back and think any standout performances.
Yeah,
I can't. I can look at Robbins and go, yeah, he had a great bit of play for that goal on Thursday night. I look at Robbins and I go, he was in Celtic players' faces. He's been a couple of great tackles. He's been good going forward. But I can't look back on somebody like Magoma and remember. Maybe it's just me and old age, whatever now. But I can't look back and say, oh, that's a great game and Magoma was man of the match.
But is that because of the players or the style? But I agree with you. I'm one of those ones you can't go back anyway. It never seems to work out.
Yeah, and I think that's the desperation as well. Sometimes if you're going back to the same players every time, there should have been a plan in place last season. And we've been right with this we've been like with James Penrice for 6 months.
Yeah, and then there are exceptions when players have come back. I was thinking about Mark Gately against Aberdeen, but he was only coming back for 4 matches or 5 matches. He's not coming back, 2 matches into the season and then becoming a starter.
Yeah. What other positions do you think we need? We've got so many midfielders, it's hard to see a midfield, but like I just want somebody that can drive 20 or 30 yards with the ball and take a shot. Yeah, good. Go for it.
Colin Phillips at St Mirren is a fantastic player.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Okay, so I think St Mirren, Simon, you've been kind of champion Alex Gogic for the last kind of 6 to 12 months as well, and the more we see Rangers play, like a year ago, we kind of all chuckled, and I was certainly wanting rubbish it, but looking at somebody like that, I think he'd be a great addition to the squad right now, to be perfectly honest. Just, he wouldn't be a regular starter, but somebody that can get in about it and maybe be a leader, especially in the dressing room. Someone like Kieran Phillips at St Mirren. He was actually, I believe, that he was a youngster down south at a club like Crystal Palace for a couple of years, and then he's come up and he's had a good start to the season here. But there's been a snobbery against bringing players in from the SPL over the last couple of years. Phillips. Yeah, so there you go. So there seems to be a bit of a snobbery in the last. We've called out in this show a few times when we look back and we look at the SPL, the talent there. And did the owners not say that the SPL would be our first port of call? We would have a bias towards it, but where's the evidence of that? We've brought in obviously Devlin and Shankland, but there's good Scottish players out there. Like, Scottish football has improved in the last 5 years. There's good players out there.
And also, if you sign the players from the other teams, you're weakening the other team as well. So it's a bit of a win there.
Yeah.
3-5-2, and Fernandez would be covered by the middle of the 3.
But then you've got to change your formation just because a player's playing badly. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Fernandez would be a better player with cover in there, but yeah, well, we've done so many different formations this season, but then I don't agree with changing a formation and changing the shape of the team just to accommodate one player's bad form. Drop him for a game or two. I reckon if we drop Fernandez for a game or two, he would come back a much better player.
Yeah, but I also agree. I also think that we should be able to change the formation and the team based on the opponents, right? Some of the games, if we're noticing that the back 4 for the opponents are quite short, go with the taller players, right? For the corners and the free kicks and everything. The starting 11 doesn't always have to be the same starting 11 just on that.
Colin, I'm going to pay you royalties for this. Right?
Are you weakening them on the park, Colin, but not in the bank account? I'm not too sure about that, Colin.
They make them stronger financially by their players.
Yeah.
So you're giving money to other SPL clubs, and but I mean,
Right, but that's going to also help Rangers a wee bit in the long run too, because they're going to be able to develop other players. Right? Here's the question: who do you think was the most effective player that we signed from another team recently, or probably it's now going to go back over 20 years? I'll give you a clue.
I can't even remember last week, to be honest. The things are
Well,
going
I
to
would think-
I'm going to.
I would have said Nacho Novo.
I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of things at Rangers that I'm black.
You black out, and it's not because of alcohol.
Yeah, it's not because of alcohol. It's to do with mental health reasons, I think.
Well, we all suffer from that, but
Yeah,
I think that Nacho Novo was the last player. We took him from Dundee or Dundee United.
Look, but you go back even further than that. You look at players like John Brown. Look at players like Ian Ferguson.
Yeah.
etc.
Coming from
Duncan
St. Mirren.
Ferguson.
But, and Nacho Novo, he was another one. He wasn't always a starter. But when he came on as this, he ran and he got as Chrissy Boyd, Kilmarnock.
So my memories are falling back now. So we're coming towards the kind of last 10 minutes or so of the show. Just on a quick reminder, we've got a fantastic new website, www.gerstv.co.uk, and there you can see articles, read articles all about Rangers, all the Rangers news, and you can also read our ratings and match reports and match previews, etc.
God, can you hold this for me?
Yeah. Colin, that's an off-air discussion.
Well, as some of you know, I'm also known as the Bally Bear. So
That's plenty.
So I'm going to give anybody who makes a comment, so I can decide on the best comment. You can get your choice of a Bally Bear shirt.
There we go.
The back. This is the front, right? You can let me know your size, or you can get some beer coolers as well.
Okay, fantastic. So what a price. Thanks very much, Colin, for that. That's a unique exclusive price to the Gers TV, so thank you very much.
All right, well, it's just something a wee bit fun. Some of the beer coolers, just to give you an idea, last season, we kind of touched on it. I came out with a new one, and I said, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a Rangers problem, right? And then there's other ones, four lads had a dream, Rangers more than a club and everything. But it's just about having a wee bit more fun, right, Simon?
We've always got to remember that football brings us together. Rangers brings a lot of, we all make friends through Rangers and it brings us together. So and
misery loves company.
So that's a great. I'll certainly hold it for you after the show as well. So thanks very much, Colin. And for the most unique comment and the comment Colin likes the best, please, you can announce the winner later. Just a reminder before we talk about the European game on Thursday, and we look forward. I'll also remind you we've got a fantastic Spotify channel as well now. We've always had it, but we've kind of reinvented that and relaunched that this season as well. So simply go onto Spotify, type in the Gers TV. Our channel will come up. We'll still have got all the historical broadcasts from 2 or 3 years ago when we talk about all the great periods in Rangers history. The 25 years without winning the Scottish Cup. all the great times. It actually feels a bit like now, actually.
It does, doesn't
it? Gers TV also doing a player rating show every week after every game on Spotify as well. So we will go through and give a summary of the players and give them a 1 to 10, and we'll give them a kind of Player of the Month award as well. So every month we'll collect the total. So go on Spotify and type in the Gers TV, and of course the website www.gerstv.co.uk. And since the start of this season, we've also launched a fantastic breakfast show. I've got to admit, sometimes it's a little bit early for me, so I don't make it on. But Simon's been an absolute hero and champion with that, and he's on every morning. So breakfast with Si. So Gers TV every morning.
Yeah.
Breakfast with Si and guests. So please continue to watch and support that. That'd be fantastic. So coming up the last few minutes, Colin.
Well, I'll just read off David's comment there. Marco Negri scored more goals in 4 months than our forwards last season. Yeah, there you go. And he only lasted, half a season before a squash injury. Did you ever hear anything?
Well, no comment. Into that. I think there's rumours about that. So just in the last 5 minutes or so, Colin, let's a bit of positivity. We can return to the Europa League on Thursday. Big game. The great thing about football is you can never rest in your laurels too long. You've always got a big game around the corner. So, what's your predictions for the game on Thursday night, Colin?
Well, we've got to win at least 2-0 just so that we're through. Right? That's it. How we're going to score the goals, how it's going to happen.
I didn't get my boots on.
Well, that's it. And your specs. Get your contacts.
I was getting to the stage when I'm seriously thinking about unretiring.
Well, that's it. So, what about yourself? What's your prediction then? Are you going 3-0, 4-0?
Well, it's my birthday, so I'm hoping for a performance to match my birthday. So I'll be hopefully it's a celebration on Thursday night. Everyone's welcome. If you're yourself, Simon, everyone's welcome for a wee drink before or after the game, depending on the result, obviously, as well after the game. But it'd be good for selfish reasons, not for me personally, but for the whole Rangers family, and for Derek McInnes especially, to get a win and get through. And I think that if we get through on Thursday, we're pretty much a shoe-in for the group stages, which would be great for the club. So, I'm going to just go 2-0 Rangers. I think it'll be dicey. I think we maybe score in the last 5 minutes to get a winner, but 2-0. Colin, do you want to give the viewers and everyone watching later a rundown on the clubs then? You mention some of the clubs in your organisation?
Yeah, well, I've got a mate coming over from Canada. He and I formed the Ottawa Rangers Supporters Club approximately 25 years ago. He's here for the game on Thursday. Great. And the cup game on the weekend. I know that the Bally Bears will be showing the game. Singapore, you've also got KL, Kuala Lumpur Rangers Club. They won't be able to show the game. You've got 3 clubs in Thailand. You've got the Bangkok one. You've got Richards and Pattaya, and you got Hoi An in Thailand. They're also holding the convention, no 27, but in 28. So start saving your pennies for that. Simon's told me he's definitely going over to that. Right. Harry and I will probably have another battle of the suits there. Right. And then, of course, you've got the Hong Kong Rangers Club with Darren running that club, and approximately 15 clubs in Australia waking up at different times to watch that.
So quite a quiet life then, Colin.
All right. Well, that's it. Well, it's like we are everywhere and anywhere, and follow on.
It sounds like a Bon Jovi tour. Okay, no, that's great. And listen, I know a lot of these supporters and all these clubs watch Gers TV, and Simon's been out to the convention a few times, which he always loves it. So great stuff, and well done for yourself for all the work and effort you put into things. You're not just a pretty face, Colin, you know.
I just got to get stronger glasses, I'm told.
You do a lot. And you're right, in football and Rangers in particular, we are a family. And, for me, all the people that come over every week and all the supporters clubs all over the world, for me, it's really, really, it's a fantastic thing, and so proud to be part of the Gers TV and have all these guys and girls and ladies and gents from different parts of the world watching us. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's it.
It keeps us going. Sometimes after a bad result or a bad performance, things like this keep us going. So thanks very much for all your efforts, Colin.
All right, no worries.
Who's the winner?
Roddy is the winner.
Okay, so all done. So the comment for J Roddy. So if you're still watching, J Roddy, contact DM the page, DM Simon and I with your contact details, and we'll sort you out with a fantastic exclusive Bally Bear sponsor.
That's it. Maybe we'll try to get a flag with the Bally Bear and the Gers TV. Yeah,
that'd be the dream. So, did you give me a score for Thursday night? Did you try and get away with that?
Well, no, I did. At least 2-0. You're the one who didn't.
You can't say at least 2-0.
Well, we got to get 2, and they can't score so that we're through. Well, look, I'll take 3 now, but it's got to be at least 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Rangers.
All right,
but I'm going to go one further. I'm going to say 1 each at half time, and then I'm going to make another prediction. Derek McInnes is going to show what he's all about for one of the first times at Rangers and go through the team at half time. They're going to come out, they're going to score a couple of goals, and they're going to win 3-1.
And I'm glad you said that, because don't you think that that's also another strategy that we haven't capitalized on? There's now 5 substitutions, and we don't seem to use them.
We moved them at the wrong times. So
Aye.
yeah, Thursday we've got a couple of days to go. So let's get behind Rangers. It's not been a great start to the season, but
as Chick says, Thursday could be the start of the season. Well then, Chick.
Yeah, let's finish on that positivity then, because that's the point I was making a wee minute ago. Was saying this could be the time. It's a lot of still some pressure on Derek, but he's a good manager. We've got a good squad,
and we wanted more Rangers focused individuals, and we're getting that.
Great stuff. So let's do a bit on Thursday night. Get behind the team as we always do at Ibrox on a Thursday night in Europe. Colin, anything to finish up on?
We are the people.
There you go. You can't really argue with that, can you? That's very, very bold, a very strong and bold end to the show there from Colin. It's a good night from Toronto, or it's a good night from Simon. Anything to add, Simon?
No, good night, folks. Let's go.
Let's get the battle on Thursday. So thanks everyone for watching the Gers TV. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the breakfast show, and we'll see you soon for reaction and previews of the game on Thursday night. Thanks very much for watching.
Thank you.